Hey.
Hello. How you doing today?
Oh, so far so good. Work is well for now is complete and done, which is good.
Hmm.
Things are getting kind of back to normal, but not really. But with the locations back, it's like, oh, y'all are back. Like how you go out to work, you're like, you still work here?
Oh my God. Well, I think we'll all have that feeling once we all go back to work eventually. Oh my God. Well, hello everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the commentary zone. Big shout out to Heidi Spills the TV. Heidi's channel over on YouTube. We just want to shout her out. Jamal and I were in her live just
Right.
before this
Yeah,
show.
we just got we full disclosure, we just got here.
We
So
just got here.
we were watching Heidi do her Married to Medicine review.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys check her out when you get a chance. Her reviews and recaps are so funny and they're so good.
And she's gonna have a really good guest on Friday. She's gonna have Monica from All About the Tea as a special guest on her show on Friday. I don't know the time yet, so just keep a lookout for that. That should be really interesting because Monica has all of the juicy tidbits. But back to our show. Thank you
So,
for checking in with us today. Give us a thumbs up because we asked you to. And today we are talking about Sister Wives, season 15, episode 5, Polygamists in a Pandemic. And I don't know about you, Jamal, but I really miss a production company directing this show. I
okay.
want to be very clear and careful in what I'm saying. I miss that because during the first days of the lockdown, they did not have a production crew there. They were doing their filming on phones, and
Hmm.
yeah, anyone who lets Cody just be Cody on 100% basis, it doesn't give good content. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So for me, this episode there wasn't much there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I will say this: I got mad at Mary a little bit because she put me in a position to agree with Cody. Granted, it was only for a scene, but
Oh, you mean when
I'm
she
like,
wanted to go?
right. I'm like, okay.
That's
I'm like, she was always like, I gotta go get my girls. I'm like, no, Mary, that's not what you do. Like, they need to come here because you're exposing yourself. That's not good. Da, da, da. And she was like, I just have to be there. I'm like, you're being a little bit dramatic. They're in their 20s. They'll be okay. And then Cody was there, like, well, no. I'm like, you're sensible. I'm like, you better come through, Cody.
yeah.
I don't agree with you most of the time, but I'm Team Cody on this one. Great job. I was
Mm-hmm.
there for it. I was there for the talking. I was there for like the critical thinking. I was there for like the common sense. I'm like, this is what we need from you, Cody. This is what your wives need from you. Great
Mm-hmm.
job, Cody. But he later just yeah, he went back to normal later
Okay.
when
Here's my thing. All right. So I know they're a polygamous family. I know Cody is the one that goes from house to house to house to house and, back again. Um, what is All right, I know Mary has absolutely no problem with him staying away from her home for 2 weeks while her daughter and fiance are there
right.
quarantining from coming from Chicago. I get that. I know he has no problem. He don't want to go by Mary anyway. Um, Christine seems to be stuck with him at this point
Hmm.
because it was her turn. Um, Janelle is saying she's bringing up a good point. She knows that her two kids are out on these streets and have no intentions of coming back in, and they don't feel like the virus is their problem. It's an old
Hmm.
people problem. I get it. So
Hmm.
she understands this. And instead of telling her stupid kids, bring your backside inside the house. This is a everybody problem, not just a old person problem.
Right.
She decides to go after Cody and say, Cody, I don't think you should come visiting my house because if my boys bring in something, you might then go and spread it to the other houses. And she takes the lesser of two evils out. Um,
Mhm.
but then you got Robin, who has had pneumonia, and then Saul is compromised as well. But she still wants Cody to be going to everybody's house plus hers. Why?
No, ma'am. Um,
Why?
I'll start with Janelle. While I understand her position, she was way too dramatic for me. It was not necessary. The holding over the phone, the boohooing, there was no
And
reason to boohoo.
the almost crying because
There
she
was
wasn't
no
going
reason
to see
to
Cody. What the hell is he doing with these women? Because I see
that.
nothing attractive about him. Nothing.
I was confused. She was boohooing almost, but it wasn't that dramatic. You could just say like, "Hey, this is where we are as a family. This is how I think that we should go about it. I think this is what's best for my family and everyone else's family. What are your guys' thoughts?" Robin, I don't know what's wrong with her. Why she won't Cody ripping and running in the streets and going back and forth. That's dumb. Christine's like, well, I'm stuck with you, so that's completely fine. And Mary like, cool, I got my baby here. You just stay right on over there. So it's four houses. If anything, you have to spend 2 weeks at each house. I saw nothing to cry over. Zero, nothing.
He don't want to be at one house for 2 weeks unless it's
There's
Robin house.
Robins.
Mm-hmm. I
That's what
don't
that is.
know. I don't know. And that conference call was
A conference
hilarious.
call.
I
They
didn't
said,
understand half of what was said on there because everybody was talking over each other, which was
right.
like blocking out of. I don't know. I think I pay more attention to the dog, and Cody was hamming it up. It took me a while, but when I finally got that snap of him just looking at the camera and breaking the fourth wall, that's Cody right there. And that's why I'm annoyed with this show.
It's hilarious the fact that he's like, like they're just making like all these decisions and they're like passing me around. I feel like a piece of
I feel
meat,
like a
a
rag
ragdoll.
doll.
I'm like, uh,
Woohoo.
I was confused because Mary wasn't trying to pull at you like that. She threw you out. She was like, go on ahead. Christine really don't want you there like that. Like, so you got Janelle seems to want you around, but um, Robin's where you want to be. And Janelle was
Mm-hmm.
trying to get her a vacation. Talking about, I'm making this huge sacrifice. I'm like, what sacrifice? I'm
Let me
confused. Like,
tell you, she's a mess. But when Cody said, if he's sacrificing not seeing his kids, then they should sacrifice by not going out. Well, if they would stop going out, then you could see your kids, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, like, I don't understand how they think.
It's
I don't.
weird. It's like they're not thinking together. They're all thinking of their own homes individually because they have individual homes. So I completely understand. But my main issue with Robin is this, ma'am. Worry about your own home at this point because it's not like you guys are all living together. I had to make all these decisions together. Each wife should be able to do what's best for her own home.
Mm-hmm. But did you see when Robin said, um, maybe this wouldn't be an issue if we were all in one home together? It would be a huge issue because
Huge.
all of y'all will be a super spreader house. For real, it would be
Mm-hmm.
like your kids would be gone first because apparently your kids got most of the problems. Like your kids and Christine's kids have health issues. I don't know about I think Janelle got the healthiest kids and Mariah's okay. But Christine and Robin's kids got major health issues. Really? And you think that living in one house would be better than the four separate houses? I think this is a godsend that they're in four separate
Exactly.
houses.
If anything,
Uh,
he really should be quarantining at Mary's house in the basement. Saying, just saying.
well, I wasn't even going to be that generous. I was saying that he should like pop a squat at Motel 6. But you know they ain't got no money for that, so whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
He could go
I
live
agree
in
with
the
Johnny.
trailer out at Coyote Pass. They're already paying the rental
Oh,
for it.
that's true. Might as well use it.
And you
Get
could
your
go up
money's
in the
worth.
trees where Mary's gonna live and just piss and poop on her place, get her back.
That's not a bad thought.
Hmm.
I just didn't understand how this was even a conversation. I mean, it should have been a conversation, yes, but I don't see how they didn't get to the conclusion, which is to me is the obvious conclusion. Everybody quarantine in your own place.
Hmm.
Period. I
And try to
mean,
be as safe as possible. And
yeah,
Janelle was right. If she knows she can't stop her kids from going here, there, and everywhere, I don't know whose peak of their social life years takes priority over a global pandemic. But you go ahead and do you in your house, Janelle, as long as you're not impacting my house, Janelle.
right.
I thought
But
she
her,
was honest.
in fairness, they do have jobs.
She only mentioned a
One,
job with the big
one, right?
one. Yeah,
He,
one got a job
um,
and the other one is just going out.
yeah, he's just going out.
Doesn't he care about his mom who
No,
is at risk?
he's like, nah, I ain't got time for that.
Wait, so in the preview for next week, is it her kid who's telling her, well, honestly, this isn't impacting me. This is an old people disease?
I think it is her son because she says I
Wow.
think her sons are the ones who would like to go out and do their own thing.
Wow.
So this, I was just like, this is what we're getting. This is the content we're getting. This is
No,
a Zoom call.
the content we're getting is the rationing toilet paper with Cody conversation.
That kills me. He's not trying to be.
he
He's not a miser. He's not a miser with the
he
toilet paper.
yeah,
He's a
he
horse.
thinks.
I can't do one square. That's being cheap. That's being miserly.
No, yeah, that's Grandpa Bill's, thing. Optimal is 5 squares, but because it is what it is, we can get by with 4 squares. And if you just roll it and fold it, three
Oh,
times and wipe gently, and then Christine's putting in her 2 bits. If you have a really messy one, you put on some lotion
lotion.
and that helps take it off a little bit fast. The fuck are you learning in that house?
Oh, you gonna break out some lotion? Is that what we're doing now? Lotion?
And then Janelle is like, I don't see what the problem is. I'm one of those people that buys in bulk. So every freaking
Right.
I get a bale of toilet paper at my house. So
Yep.
you ain't
She had me
sharing with your
hollering.
sister wives who are
She
there
had
rationing a piece of toilet paper?
she had me hollering when she said, "Oh, I'm good. I don't know what y'all got going on, but at my house we good on the Charmin and Continental for whoever's on sale."
Oh my God. This episode was a waste of space except for a couple of gems.
Yeah,
Um it, Mary is just so desperate for relevance at this point. Calling
yeah.
an emergency meeting with Cody to discuss that mess with Chicago. Like, how the hell did them girls get over to Chicago?
Well, here's the thing. Here's my thing. He said Mary called me talking about like we need to talk because there's an emergency. Now, if it was such an emergency, why didn't she tell you on the phone? Why did you have to go over to her house to talk about the emergency? Typically, when it's an emergency, for me, an emergency is like, look, I'm hopping on the plane in an hour, or I'm catching an extra red eye. To me, that's an emergency,
Mm-hmm.
and you speak about it over the phone you make the plan over the phone. To me, this is just an emergency to where you just jump in your car, drive over to Mary's house, go into Mary's house. Hi, how are you? Like, what's going on? Mary comes down the stairs. Well, I just got off the phone with Mariah and Audrey, and they need to get out there right away. I'm like, well, okay.
Well, if it was such an emergency, shouldn't your dumbass have told him that on the phone?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was just
Yeah.
confused about how the emergency was an emergency when you couldn't tell him over the phone, but he had to jump in the car. He had to come over to see you.
Hmm.
It was such an emergency. He had to drive maybe like a half an hour or so or whatever.
I just can't. I just can't. And
Oh,
like, who's in the treehouse? Wait, is Robin in a different location? Did she go someplace else other than the house that they just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on for her to buy?
no clue.
Oh, and Yanni, I wanted to highlight her comment. Debbie, we didn't have toilet paper, girl, at that time. Was y'all one of them people that was going to fast food restaurants to get to get
Napkins,
McDonald napkins? I
napkins.
can't even laugh. I bought $40 toilet paper on Amazon. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. We started rationing in this house too.
do we have to ration? No, we didn't have to.
We had a little stockpile. We never ran out, but I
Yeah,
was uber sensitive of it. I really was
yeah.
because there was nothing on the shelves
No, yeah, I heard the
and
stores
there was
were
nothing
like
on Amazon.
the stores were rationing. Like
Mhm.
people were trying to sneak toilet paper at the beginning. Like they're like, no, you can't do that. We need to say that for other people.
Mm, I don't know. It was just the episode was interesting, but it wasn't.
Right.
Like there were like the part with Mary and the kids in Chicago, like they're grown women and they were curled up on a ball on the couch looking like frightened children, like they didn't know what to do. You grown enough to live on your own in a whole nother state.
Hmm.
Like it's sad that Cody was the one who made sense in that conversation. It really is.
Right, because Mary's telling me, I'm going to jump on the plane. I'm like, that makes no sense because you risk exposure. But and you're, and my whole thing was this: like, we heard Mariah say like Chicago had like one of the highest rates at that time, and I'm like, so, but man, like, you gonna fly right into a hot spot. That makes complete sense.
This was something else. Yanni, like Mary never invited Cody to go. Mary says she was going. Cody inserted himself and said, "We can't do that. It's not safe for us. Do it on your own." But here's the thing. If it's not safe for Mary to go and grab the kids from Chicago and bring them back, right? If it's not safe, then how is it safe for him to go from house to house with Janelle's house being compromised? They contradict themselves all the time. And yes, he did insert himself to go, but I think as a means of cost saving because he wanted to
Mhm.
drive
A
a van
trailer.
or a trailer to go
Hmm.
and pick up their stuff, which would be 3 days over there, I think he said. I might be wrong. I don't 100% listen to him. But it would have been days going over there with the trailer, then to bring them back. When they could easily go and rent a U-Haul, because they're quite familiar with that, and put together whatever they needed to put together and leave.
Exactly.
Which one makes more sense? I hate to say this, but Cody.
Yeah.
And how is Mary exposing herself? Because she kept on saying that Chicago's next or Chicago's a hot spot or something like that. She kept on stressing.
Mariah said that.
Oh, Mariah. So that's their reason for leaving. Why go and expose yourself? Like you have a big enough house. We all know she liked them 7-bedroom
Yep.
monstrosities. So your kids could stay in one section of the house and you could stay in another and y'all could quarantine together without sort of exposing each other. I get they don't make sense. They don't make sense. Oh my god.
When Cody's the most rational, yes, they don't make sense. Like
Mm-mm.
he did a good job talking her off the ledge, but I'm just looking at her. I was just like, see, this is why I don't. This is why it makes it hard for me to root for you because you're not thinking properly. Child's
Yeah.
grown.
You know what? That scene, now that Yanni is saying this, I think Cody produced that scene.
Oh, definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, he produced that because who calls someone an emergency and says, you gotta come over, and
Yes.
then and who also says an emergency that when you get there, they're coming down the stairs real casually, and says, "Well, I just got off the phone with Audrey." I'm like, produced. I'm like, really? I'm like, really? This is what we doing? Okay. And then
Well,
Cody gets to come in and be like the voice of reason for once. He had to have one good scene out of the season, so they like they're like this is where you gonna shine, Cody. Do it right, and he did it right. So I'm not mad at him.
well, he shined in that toilet paper scene as well. Um, just a description of Grandpa. I'd never seen that before, and I knew it was a joke and everything. But then I started thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, "What if people really do that?" Ew.
Right. Do not put that out there.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, what else happened in this godforsaken episode?
Absolutely nothing. So we covered the toilet paper.
Mhm.
We covered the foolishness of them wanting to go to Chicago.
Mhm.
We covered the Zoom call, which all made no sense. Because they all want to do different things, which is okay. But Cody trying to go house to house is not the way to go. And I was at the end of the day, I'm on Janelle's side in this one. To be honest, everyone just quarantine at your own house. Do what's best for you.
I just think it's a lot of people to put at risk just for the sake of because let's really face this. Cody's not going to any of their houses with the exception of Robin to see the women. I think he's there for the children,
Correct.
just barely. I think he's sick of kids. Honestly, I don't think he has the patience for kids. If and this goes based on what we've seen previously.
Right.
I'm just flashing back to that scene in Vegas where all the women left him alone with I think all of the kids, and he was a hot flaming mess. Um, I think he only wants to see Robin as a woman. Um, I don't think he wants to see the other three as women.
Nah.
Mm.
No, he just said, I'm gonna quarantine with Robin. That's it. Keep it moving.
Has
And what's
anybody
with
figured out
Robin?
what he does for a living?
No. And what's with
No.
Robin and her trying to push this we need to be together narrative. We need to be more connected narrative. Ma'am, stop it. Like you need to understand that these women not mess with you like that because the only reason they're in Flagstaff is because of you, and they're all not happy, and it's all your fault.
Well,
I'm
here's
gonna
the
need her to
thing.
stop.
She's the biggest contradiction because she's got two, you know, compromised people in her household. She wants him to go around to all of the households, spreading
Hmm.
germs and bacteria and disease and virus. And she thinks that's bringing them closer together. How?
Exactly.
How can they not realize that they have the optimal situation for the time that they're in at the moment? I don't get
Because
it.
they don't think
I know Christine wants him to go to somebody else's house because she want him out of her
desperately,
house.
desperately.
She was sick of him on that conference call. Mary was paying more attention to her dog. Janelle was just, I don't know, I think she was having her emotional breakdown because she was pissed that her kids won't stay their asses at home while she was desperately wanting Cody to be at her house to sleep in her bed.
True. Very true. But I think
Mm.
with her, she just doesn't really give me anything. It's the same thing over and over. I didn't want to buy this house. I want us to live together. I want Cody to see all of his children. I'm like,
Cody sees all his children when he wants to. Well,
I
at
just
least the ones that are there.
yeah, I just don't with her. I just don't understand like why she's a broken record.
I think she's holding on to Cody because there's nothing else for her in her mind. Like, this is it. This is the best that she could do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I understand wanting to make something work, but there comes a point in time to where you need to stop focusing on everybody else and focus on you. Because if she hasn't seemed to notice, like no one else is focused on everybody else. They're all focused on their own household. So I would like her to do the same and stop crying and stop whining. It's just yeah, no, I'm okay with her now.
Hmm. Anything else?
No, this is one of those episodes that was an hour for no reason. This should be like a cute little 30-minute segment and on its way. Because all we really need to see was the Zoom call, the toilet paper tutorial, and Cody making sense. That's three things. We didn't need an hour show for that.
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes would have been cool.
Oh my God. All right, guys. Well, this was Sister Wives season 15, episode 5, Polygamists in a Pandemic. Um, did you watch the show? What did you think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. We do read them and we respond. Hold on. Yanni has another comment I want to look at. And Cody needs to stop complaining about all because he chose to be a polygamist. He
Hmm.
chose to have 4 wives. He chose to have a ton of kids. Deal with it now. Yeah. I don't think he's ever dealt with that. Like the wives, I think he dumps that on the wives.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think he deals with any of that marital stuff. I think Cody has become very self-righteous and it should be what he says because he's the leader of the family. But leading them into what? Financial ruin?
That too.
You know. All right, Yanni. Um, yeah, so guys, let us know what you think. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And most importantly, tell a friend. This show has always been a mystery to me. And I need you guys to give me input to maybe make it make sense. Is that too much to ask?
Nope.
All right,
All right.
Jamal. Until
Until
next
next
time.
time. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.